I don't know which camera is recording, but hello everyone. Welcome back to Metamorphosis podcast. I think this is episode 24. I'm not even sure anymore. I'm not keeping track. Welcome back, Jasmina.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We've discussed so many things since we last spoke on the podcast, outside of the podcast. Thank you everyone who've been very supportive of this channel and the work that I do. Today we're going to be discussing does red pill need some love? The reason I decided to open this Pandora's box is simply because I've discovered red pill, which again is nothing else apart from reality, but kind of interpreted through a very rational lens of a certain subcategory or group of men. And I've seen a tremendous potential for men to bond and grow there as men, but at the same time, I cannot help but see the damage it's causing to men and how it basically turns men against women because it focuses only on the negative experience that men had with women, such as being cheated on, being used by women in terms of dual sexual strategy of women, which is men being with women and women using men to find a better man, and all kinds of things that I think that can be discussed in a much healthier environment without shaming women, which I'm not condoning or condemning as wrong or right, but simply understanding and helping men understand that there is a healthy or a good way to discuss this. Also hold women and men accountable for our actions, and simply approaching this in a more understanding way. Not to make things right, not to change them, not to play the white knight or anything, but simply to understand women and men and to help them understand each other better, if that is what they want. And if the red pill wants to keep pushing this narrative, which is, okay, all men should do is get a 666, six pack, 6 figures, 6 inches, which is a very shallow narrative that men are very easily drawn to because it sells very well. You convince a man that he can make it, that he can have it all. And what it does is it only focuses on the man, which is the same thing that feminism does by making women only focus on themselves. So it's the same narrative, different lens, and it doesn't allow the sexes to meet each other. So does red pill need some love? What's your take on that?
Okay, so just to get things straight, so red pill in 2 to 3 sentences, what would that be in your opinion?
We watched The Matrix.
The movie?
The movie.
Yes.
And remember when when Morpheus says, take the red pill and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. I think that what happened with the red pill is kind of the perversion of that, with this movement of red pill. It's basically me trying to do this in 2 sentences. Male empowerment. Okay. Male awareness of intersexual dynamics, male-female nature, historic understanding or more empirical understanding of our relations. Again, but entirely and mainly focusing on the negative aspect of that. So shaming women, taking it, again, it's not all it is. There is a wonderful, I've learned so much from it myself, but I see flaws in it and I see how compelling it is to bring you in and be like, bring this like winner team. Mm-hmm. You don't need anyone. You're a soldier, you can make it. And of course you can, everyone can. But there's more to it. That's basically how I would interpret red pill. It's like male empowerment, but there's a side note, like a pinch of salt of kind of unhealed masculine lurking there. And I'm trying to see how we can address that without empowering men like ourselves to make us unstoppable to the point where we no longer care about women, but to really understand that we are both sides of the same coin, and that our empowerment necessarily means female empowerment, and that female empowerment means male empowerment, and they're not mutually exclusive. And whoever does make that division doesn't have the sexist interest at all.
Yeah, their best interest at heart.
Yeah, but it aims at division. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to see how red pill can actually be something that's non-divisive.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Because what came to mind was healthy female empowerment, healthy male empowerment, and in this case, male empowerment. Because with any movement, call it red pill or whatever, it could have been whatever movement, it can become, and the word toxic is so toxic in and of itself, but it can become something that it's actually not. And if enough men voucher for, yeah, actually we have been not suppressed in a sense, but we had to stand back to women, and we had to do this or that, and it's very easy to take on that victim role and flip the switch, and now we're gonna screw women and let's just focus on ourselves, and all women are like this. And whenever is it okay to call it a movement? Because I don't actually, red pill, if that is what you just described, it could be seen as a movement, but male empowerment in such is not a movement. It just is. Men and women should be equally empowered.
How would you then describe or explain feminism? Do you think that's female empowerment?
Oh wow, that is a huge topic. Feminism depends on many things. Feminism, it started as a movement, empower women, let women vote and let them be a part of society equally to men. And there are many, many aspects to feminism that are and started off as very healthy and very encouraging.
Agreed.
And as any movement, again, there's always going to be extremes, and people for some reason tend to be drawn towards extremes. So if, let's say in this case, feminism, if there are a lot of women that were not, once again, I'm not pointing out specifics in history, but just as a concept, if there are a lot of women that felt extremely unempowered, extremely in a disadvantage to compared to men in society. Let's say if a woman applies for a job and that was not common, then a male would be hired. Take any example.
Right, but the man would be hired based on competence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I believe that anyone should be hired based on competence.
Yes,
in
exactly.
Any case. Today and 20 years ago, 30, like.
Yeah. So would you then? But then the point you're making is then comes down to individual choice. If us men and women do not decide to pursue a competitive labor market and still apply for jobs, it is not fair to assume that we are qualified for a job when we're not.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, for any job.
Right.
If I would hire somebody, if I were a CEO or whatever, and I would hire somebody, and a woman and a man would apply for the job, and the man would be more competent for the job, I would hire the man.
Absolutely.
If the woman would be more competent for the job, I would hire the woman.
Exactly.
But what I was getting at was like extremes. So if people feel very unempowered, they tend to gravitate towards extremes as a form of salvation. Could you call it salvation? Like, oh, I'm not strong enough in myself to... I know my self-worth. I don't need to go and burn my bra and scream and yell at...
Take my clothes off.
Okay. Let's move this. Okay, I was like way back in the 70s or whatever, but like let's move this to today.
Yeah.
Please develop that. What do you mean by that?
Because that is completely opposite to empowerment. Because when I saw women protesting for their own rights and understanding that the only way for them to get the attention of the public was to take their clothes off, I could not help but ask myself, how do women not understand that if the only way for public to notice you is you taking your clothes off, how can you call yourself empowered in that, which is the most sacred thing?
Yes.
The entire purpose of creating a sustainable and functional society is you building your way up and understanding society, understanding how to get your voice heard, understanding how to play the game of life, understanding the necessity of education, of you being educated, smart, and eloquently placing your arguments. I created a podcast in order to do that. I invested. I'm not putting myself out there and saying that I did something right or good. I'm just saying I wanted to be the change in the world. I wanted to see the change in the world. I invested money, time, effort, energy to create something in hopes to establish and encourage a dialogue. I do not need to go take my clothes off to send a message, which still would be misinterpreted because it's only the message. The word is not the thing. We can only, through dialogue, understand each other, not through me or you protesting and just disagreeing with something. We need to have an organized discussion in society. And again, what feminism did wrong and what feminism failed at is to actually empower women, at least in the past 30 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And why that happened is simply because women were told to be the same as men, to be equal as men in every aspect. And there was this beautiful debate with Jordan Peterson that I speak with you very often about. And it doesn't matter that this is Jordan Peterson and that, it just happens to be a man saying something that makes perfect sense. Because if this genuinely was about equality, then women would not only be pursuing positions of power. Women would be as okay with working as cleaners in the streets, as bricklayers, as construction workers, as oil rig workers. All these jobs that we know are deadly and dangerous and require extreme stamina and enduring harsh conditions. And the irony in all that is that us as men, we do not want women to do that. And yet I've heard women saying, well, that's offensive to us as women. That means that you don't respect us and you don't deem us valuable and equal for us to do the same work. And I always say to these women the same thing. You're completely missing the point. Can you not see that men love you and men want to protect you? Because that's our natural urge. And that's our natural response. But when that happens, you and I live in Sweden, which is a highly westernized society.
Yeah.
Would you think that women would rather be taken care of by a man, or would rather be, oh yeah, I'm a strong, independent woman and I don't need no man, and just, what do you think about that? No, I mean, it is funny.
Okay. I just want to answer or comment on the first thing you said there, where we began, like burning bras and taking your clothes off. And then I'll get to the next point.
Please do.
That is a very funny... is that an oxymoron? Like, women taking their clothes off, stating like, oh, this is my body, like, look, dancing half naked, or I mean, I don't personally have or use the app TikTok, but you showed me clips on TikTok, and well, you remember my reaction. I was like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah. For those who don't know, we are referring. I showed Jasmina the clip of women protesting for the anti-abortion law in the U.S. and women who were twerking and removing their clothes to protest that. So yeah. And
in a weird way, I can kind of, and this stems from my studies of the human psyche and subconscious and the workings of us as humans, and hopefully, my hopes we can come into these themes at some other point. But why women, in this case, would seek that kind of attention? It comes down to seeking attention and some very deep, unhealed aspects then projected on a collective level. But for another time.
Yep.
It is. I do not understand. So, I could not see myself do something like that, and I'm not righteous or like, oh, I'm better. I'm not saying that.
We're talking about common sense.
But how does that make sense if I would online? This was a protest then, but then still, like, there are these clips where like women now in this case like dance half naked online on these clips, like, oh, empowerment, my body, and I'm a goddess and all of that, and fine, like, you go be a goddess, but like, why then? I perceive it as you kind of like you soil yourself. Like, why would you like show your goodies, like your most sacred thing like that? And then use it as like, I'm empowered. Is it like, oh, this is what I have, you can't have it? Or look at me. Once again, attention, right?
Attention.
And
Attention seeking.
I would, my favorite question, why? I would ask like, okay, but why? What is the intention behind this?
But do you think that these women can actually face that deep shame and acknowledge the why, instead of that being manifested in so many pointless ways? Because for us to face the deepest of our shame, we need to really face ourselves for who we are. And removing my clothes, and doesn't matter, like men manifest that kind of behavior in the opposite way, which is acquiring wealth and just overly showing the lack of inner power by exerting external power, like cars, having sex with beautiful women all the time, kind of basically fragmenting themselves in a way with no substantial, meaningful, essential bond with someone and with life, therefore. And they are kind of two sides of the same coin. But why do you think women cannot see? Like, why can't women, and men for that matter, face their shame?
You just touched upon the core of my work. Shame, okay, I have so much to say about this, but like, we're reading the book like Power versus Force now by Stephen Hawking.
David Hawking.
Oh my God, I did it again. Okay, astrophysics, Stephen Hawking. May you rest in peace. I love you. But David Hawking. David Hawkins. Sorry, David Hawkins. The Hawking. Yeah, and the frequency scale. And once again, I don't see it as vertical. I see it as horizontal, but that's also for another time. And once again, shame is vibrating at a very low frequency. The lowest one. Very dense, very heavy. Yep. And if anyone has ever experienced shame, which we all have, viewers, listeners, you can kind of feel it somatically in your body. It is heavy. It is clogging your energy. So shame is one of the most powerful, shame and guilt, but shame primarily, because shame says, I am bad. Guilt says, I did something bad, but I am bad. Yeah. And oftentimes shame stems from early childhood, where we as young human beings cannot distinguish between I did something bad or I am bad. So if I am bad, why would I tell the world this? Because I want to be good. I want to be perceived as a good girl. I want to be perceived as a good worker. I want to be perceived as a good, insert whatever you want, as good. And then we can spin off of this, like religion and movements, like, oh, you be good, do good. Yes, do
ideologies good. And what else would that be? Like these affirmations also. Affirmations are also extremely dangerous. I think people don't know how much they're sabotaging themselves through affirmations.
Because they bypass the core.
They bypass, and not only do they bypass, it's called overlay. Like you overlay the reality which you're living in. You tell yourself you're a good person, but you don't face the bad things you've done in your life. Yeah. And therefore there's fragmentation. Yeah. And that, again, in terms of red pill and what I see happening there, it's exactly what is happening with men. Because I see the how's that called? Like the pill that gets you out of this, that just gives, it's a ticket and the way out is to get hot, get chiseled, get rich. And that's the solution.
A quick solution.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's only that. It's an escape. Why do you think people who win lotteries lose everything within 3 years? Statistically, people who win lotteries go broke within 3 years. Like, can you imagine that? Like you get everything you ever wanted. You get money, you get everything, and you lose it all. So it's not about pursuing something external, something that you are not here now. It's just understanding that why are you pursuing that? Go. As you said, your favorite question is why. Why are we men becoming, despite being empowered? So again, both men and women are going through the same thing, because female empowerment started a certain way, it ended a certain way. Because now men are the ones being empowered, but it's also going its own negative way, and positive, of course. But what I see in the streets, what I see present, is mostly negative. Not because I'm negative and I'm seeking out negative, but we spoke about this, how men communicate with women, how they present themselves on social media and in real life, how they view themselves and their future. what they want from themselves and each other.
Yeah.
You wanted to say something?
What just came to mind is like it kind of appeals to the dark masculine, because like if anyone doesn't know, but in essence there is theories of everyone having both masculine and feminine energies within us, and then not just masculine as a man, feminine as a woman,
Right.
but like I have masculine energy and feminine energy. You have too. Everyone has.
Yeah,
And
I came from a woman, so it's like pure
exactly.
logic.
And what are these energies? Like, okay, super simplified feminine energy. It's more beingness, feeling, receptive, the inner world kind of. Masculine energy is more assertiveness, doing, motion. We're drinking some amazing tea right here, and this container would be the masculine energy, and the amazing warm tea is the feminine energy, and so are we in sense. So what just came to mind, this makes, I'm confusing myself now, but like the women who take their clothes off, and why that would be like, why how is that empowering? That would then be, I'm kind of taking out my feminine energy, putting it out in the masculine world, like I'm using my body to assert power and dominance for other women, like, oh, look at me, in the guise of, oh, you go girl, you're a goddess too, but look at me because I'm hot and I can attract men. And whereas men look at this, and once again, there's no judgment in this, and this might not even be true, this just came to mind now, would be like either watching this and like, oh, she's so beautiful, hot, and I tap that or whatever, or she's not wife material, like I would maybe not marry her.
Not maybe not, I would definitely not marry her.
Yeah, you're a man, like, yeah.
Because us men, we can tell that right away. We spoke about this, you and I. When women start acting like men, and you mentioned the body. So if women start giving their body to other men, for us men, that's an instant, no. Like, we don't want that.
And that doesn't even have to be like physical, like giving your body like that, because if you do it online like that, you're kind of already giving up your body to anyone who's watching. And also, I need to like point this out. I am absolutely not saying like, oh, don't do that. Everybody, you do you. What you deem is best. This is only my humble opinion. And I mean, I know people who do that, and, you know, good for them. If that makes them happy. I cannot but I can only state my own stance in this, and it kind of makes me sad in a sense that is that the way we as women then? Is that the way we want attention from men?
Yeah, but that's because you don't have genuine communities and friends and friendships, and you were not taught or had good role models to learn good values. It's just, when I see contemporary, like modern women hanging out with each other, it's chaos. It's just, I cannot see them looking after each other and having mutual best interests.
Yeah.
It's very fun to me actually to observe. I'm not talking to it in a condescending way, but when I observe women who are out and about, it's simply, I see more sabotage in women's behavior when it comes to men.
Amongst them, like
intrasexual competition. Because what happens, unfortunately, is women are becoming more older, and then they become increasingly aware that they cannot attract men as easily. They don't receive as much attention as they did like 10 years ago. And then it's basically hit and run, grab what you can. Because, again, so many, ideological divisions and beliefs. Like, women have been sold this lie that if you wait, the right one will come. If you do certain things. So again, you want to trick the universe. You want to...
The affirmations, like, I will manifest this person.
Right. Which is tricking the universe, which is cheating. So you decide, right? So I'm going to decide what I'm going to sacrifice and what I'm going to get, which makes me God. So if I say, you know what, I'm just going to be this humble little woman, and the right one is just going to come and pick me. And the same kind of goes for feminized men, but this level of delusion, and I'm not making a division here, but this level of delusion I've only identified primarily in women, because men, we get hit by reality different. Because we are not valued for our bodies. We are not valued for our appearances primarily. We are valued for the value we produce and give. Provisioning, protection, adequacy, and it is different for us, because for us actually to be taken into consideration for a relationship, looks are not as important. What is important is experience, is maturation, to be mature, to be confident, to be independent. And those are all things that take time to build.
Boom. You just said it there. It takes time to build. All of these quick fixes, right?
Yeah.
Red pill. Join this community or this movement, or I'm calling it a movement. I don't even know, like, sorry, but, you know, join this and we have the solution to this. Or
I think no one knows what it is. That's the thing. We're just talking about it, but no one can universally agree on what that is. It's just we're up to our own interpretations, and that's why we need to speak about it, so we can have a common definition of that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, exactly. Common definition of it.
Yeah.
And where was I? I lost my train of thought here. Oh yeah, we have the solution for XYZ. Quick fixes. There is no quick fix to anything. No. And bypassing, for example, I will affirm. I'm dancing on TikTok or Instagram, and yeah, cool. It stems from women having, way back, it was publicly shamed, and still is in many countries. I mean, once again, we live in Sweden, one of, if not the most liberal country in the world regards to female empowerment, and, you know, you can wear whatever, and, you know, it's fine, and equal society. So the polarities kind of between men and women have not eroded, but it's not really there. But it kind of also stems from that, like the shaming of women showing too much skin. And so that became, I think, also the thing that women, you know, take their clothes off. As we said, I will take this in my own hands, and I choose if I do this. But that's the thing. Are you actually empowering yourself like that? Right.
And here's one thing that we speak about in the manosphere and with men. It's like something that women will I think never understand, is that us men actually try to protect women by telling them to not reveal themselves too much. And when I speak to women about this, and when I say these exact words, I get basically the same response. Like, how dare you say that? You're a man. Dare you? Yeah, like, you're a man. How dare you? Who are you to decide what we are? And I said, no, don't get me wrong. I'm a man. I know how I respond when I see a woman with almost no clothes. Believe me, you don't want to be that woman. Believe me, you don't want to look like that, and because I'm not going to take you seriously. And as a man, I'm either going to just have a one-night stand with you and just, hey, thank you, I've enjoyed this, but I'm not having any intentions of prolonging this, because if you're walking around like this, what the signal I'm getting is you're after a certain thing. And you're
a quick fix, right?
You're not after commitment. You're not after creation.
This man in quickly because my body is hot and I don't. Yeah.
Before we continue, I want a quick break. Break. We're back. Getting back. So again, as I said before, when I speak to women and I say, hey, as men, we want to protect you. We really, really, and I'm a brother. I'm an older brother.
You have a sister?
Yes, younger sister. Since I was a kid, I was there to protect my sister, because as a man, I knew how my sister is going to be looked at, what kind of men will be approaching her based on what she wears, based on how much skin she shows. And my own sister came to me for fashion advice, for clothing tips. Milan, how do I look? Is this okay? And I know this might sound absurd to women to hear, but that's what built trust in the family. That's what built trust and actually encouraged us as a family to trust our sister to make good choices for herself, be it company, be it boyfriend, be it whatnot. And it stems from that, as most things do, from family, from the household. Like if you were, because when I see people, and I'm sorry for everyone who's listening to this and who maybe belongs to this category, but when I see how young girls are dressed today in Sweden, I get genuinely concerned as a man. Genuinely concerned, because I see no future for these children. These are 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds at best, who are half naked, who are dressed like, and forgive me for using that word, like total sluts, like prostitutes, like sluts. And all I think about is, well, there is a parent who allows this behavior. There is a family that says this is okay. And I'm not even going to go into the specifics of how this is linked to the pedophilia that's being pushed through society and politics recently, because we're going to do that separately. But it is exactly this behavior that encourages younger girls to be attracted to older men, which is okay after a certain age. Because if we have 18, mind this, if we have 18, like the legal age of 18 for alcohol, for cigarettes, why don't we don't have to have a law or ban, but why are we not encouraging each other to take care of our children? Because that is our future. That is the future of this world and whatnot. And if we allow children to be, and the same goes for men, but men do not have the problem with clothing. Men have problem with addictions and violence. So in the same sense, when we allow young girls to look like sluts and walk the streets and be half naked, I've seen awful things. I see them and I literally wanted to come to them and say, hey, where's your dad? Where's your mom? And especially dad. Because if your dad allows you to go out like that, then something's wrong with your dad.
Maybe dad doesn't know. That is the thing.
Maybe. But what kind of a family then is that when the father doesn't know how the daughter is dressed? But still, I understand. I do understand. What I want to get at here is how to actually approach that, and what is that exactly is the problem there. Is the problem the young girls dressing that way? Is the problem men that are in the streets? And we speak about this often, the men that I want to get off the streets and just tell them, hey guys, instead of roaming the streets and being suspicious to the police and being searched, humiliated publicly, why don't you work on yourselves? Why don't you create something for yourselves? And again, they find red pill, but they get bad role models.
Yeah.
They get Andrew Tate. They get, I mean, I'm not saying Andrew is good or bad, but you need to learn how to read between the lines to understand. There is, as in everyone else, I'm not praising or criticizing Andrew Tate. I'm always going to criticize everyone, but I'm not negatively criticizing Andrew Tate. What is wrong, and what is right. But you need to, as a man and a woman, have the capacity and the ability to interpret every message that comes to you. Because if you don't, you're being indoctrinated. You are being sold an agenda. You know, Tate University, this or that, or some guy teaching you something. Unless we do it together, unless I sit with men that I work with, and I'm just one of them, and we work together, then I'm not a teacher. I'm a leader, or I'm a dictator. And I don't think dictatorship of any kind for young men or women is good. Any role model that we might have, yes, maybe there's respect, but we only know the image that we see. And if we want to understand it deeper, we need to go into it, like really go into it.
I agree. For some reason, we spoke about the younger generation, the kids on the street, and why young girls are dressed in a certain way and why young boys are directionless and so forth. Can it be that this, we spoke about this in one of the podcasts and we speak about this very often, but like the fast-paced, like fast food, Tinder society, like quick fixes, fake spirituality, like, oh, I'm just going to manifest this, or I'm just going to sit and quasi-meditate and my life will be nice. The thing is, when you said, like, we do this together, we explore this together, that implies actually, that's the thing. It implies to actually form and sustain a relationship, a connection with another human being, in this case, man, woman, whatever, and that we discover what is best for us together. And not that I, on my end, assume, men are trash, and if I'm gonna attract a high value, high quality man, I need to, or should, or as many of these, like, not even dating coaches, but whoever on Instagram, once again, I don't have TikTok, but like on Instagram, like, oh, this is how you attract this person, or this is how you do this. It's also,
wow, yes.
But it's like,
yes. It's means to an end.
It's means to an end, but also it doesn't function like that because it's quick fixes.
Exactly.
And maybe the reason why people are drawn to extremes in the end, even if something began as an ideology or a good thing, is that I lost my train of thought. Wait.
That's okay.
Thank you. Yeah, this younger generation with short clips, 15 seconds, 20 seconds.
Right.
I mean, okay, if we sit here and talk on this podcast for what, let's say an hour, how many people can actually, I don't know if you see me now, but like, if anyone listening to this, but I challenge you who are watching this, watch the whole thing from start to end. Not because we're smartasses or whatever. Maybe you think what we say is shit, that's fine too. But can you challenge yourself to actually sit and watch something for an entire hour?
Or anything.
Anything.
Or anything that's not a movie, that's not entertainment.
Yeah.
That is not distraction.
Anything that is longer than 2 minutes. Because what I was getting at is the younger generation, I don't know what it's called, Generation Y, whatever, young kids today.
Y would be a good name.
Oh, my podcast should be named Why. They're prone to wanting to be told what to do and think, but at the same time, they rebel against anyone telling them what to do. Oh no, I'm not going to work at any job and nobody can tell me what to do. But at the same time, when they're encouraged to, well, explore this. Can you watch this for an hour? Can you learn something? Can you immerse yourself into a certain thing? Once again, maybe not, what are these series? Game of Thrones and Netflix things. I don't know. I'm like old school like that, but not pleasure, but like learn something. But they want answers. Okay, I just want to know how it is. They don't want to inquire, why is that? And then also living, being born kind of, and having been put like a phone in front of their faces from an early age. What is that? I need to look this up, but I think...
You raised a good point, though. You raised a good point that I wanted to link to. And that is exactly this like quick fix. Because we speak about Red Pill, and I read to you Rollo Tomasi, which I'm not promoting in any way. I'm criticizing of his work. Because when I go to online... How dare you? When I go to the online Red Pill community and the manosphere, people say, oh, read this book, it changed my life. And I said, no, man, you changed your own life.
Yeah.
You read something and you realized something. Because, and this is my message to everyone, don't just repeat to what Rollo or Richard Cooper or me or Jasmina or anyone else says.
No.
Question it on your own. Understand what it is through inquiry, through questioning, through giving your life to it. And do not just repeat and regurgitate material. Because if we did that, that's exactly what causes division. That's exactly what causes ideological affiliation. That's exactly what causes polarization.
Yeah, assumptions.
And we will never see each other for who we are. Because I read to you Rational Male last night. And if I was that man, and if I saw women in the same way, for example, Rollo Tomasi sees them, imagine how much conflict that would bring about.
Yeah.
Because... And I know that men listening to this are highly likely going to say, well, that's not my problem. I'm just being myself. And I say, no, you have an enormous responsibility as a human being. You have a tremendous responsibility as a human being towards anything and everything. Because what we're doing, we don't know who it's going to reach.
No.
We do not know who is going to hear it. We don't know what kind of mental or physical state they're in. And we don't know, and it could be a difference between life and death for someone to hear this message or any other.
Yeah.
And it can be in the same way, a difference in us sending a loving message to a man who is confused.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Imagine that. So because this is for me the danger of these red pill coaches. Imagine you're a guy who recently broke up with a girl, or she left you, or whatnot, and you just don't know what to do. Your life is falling apart, and you run into one of these people who are like, hey, I got a solution for you. Have you swallowed the red pill? Because when you do, you're going to be unstoppable. Chicks are going to want to get in bed with you, and you're going to just, get that six-pack, go hit the gym. And look, it's true. To a certain degree. However, why would you want that? Why would you want to imitate someone else's lifestyle? Why would you follow a blueprint that you know how ends? You know how that ends. Anyone, guys, listening, watching to this, you follow that the millionaire blueprint.
Yeah.
And is really, that's what you want to do for the rest of your lives? Just follow a certain routine and get everything you want and just be, seriously, that's the purpose of this life? To just affirmations, routines? That's prison. It's self-imprisonment. And when you're imprisoned, you cannot love, you cannot grow, because your mind is just stuck in that thing. And the same goes for these poor men and women who, when they get hurt, when they get abandoned, when they get left, instead of focusing on love, instead of focusing on forgiveness and letting go, it's the opposite. Make her regret leaving you. Make her want to come back. Believe me, you don't want to take your ex back right away. But if you want, go for it. And it's just the message. It's divisive.
Yeah.
It's either this or that.
Yeah.
You're either a king in the gym, six-pack, or you're a loser.
Yeah.
And that is exactly...
This or that.
That's exactly what separates men instead of uniting them. When I commented on online forums of Red Pill and Manosphere, giving some spiritual viewpoint of it, hey guys, how about not hating women? I'm not scoring any points with that, but how about we focus on taking responsibility and through example show what it means to be a good man, a high value man? Simp. Oh yeah, only a beta would say that. And that just goes on. Sorry. that just goes on. That just goes and perpetuates itself, and it creates even more division. And I'm thinking, how do we heal this? How do we go over this? How do we bridge these differences? Because we're all men and we're playing for the same team, which is Team Humanity. We're not meant to be divided amongst ourselves as humans or as sexes. Because, as I said, and we spoke about this last night, if I'm good, then you're gonna be good. If we're working together, and it's in your interest that I'm good, and it's in my interest that you're good, that you're doing well. And if you're not doing well, I can't just turn a blind eye to that and be like, well, I'm doing good, so you take care of yourself.
Yeah, well, that comes back to empathy. Empathy,
compassion.
Yeah, compassion. And, love is the essence, right? Whatever the question, love is the answer. And can you truly then love if it's a power game?
No. That's something even that Jung speaks about. Where power predominates, love is lacking.
Exactly.
And if relationships are about power, they are not relationships. These are not...
in a sense, it is a relationship, but what kind of relationship is that? Do you want to be a part of that?
Yeah.
But the thing with empathy and the younger generation who, in the car, on the highway, and people are in their born behind a screen, living behind a screen, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to be whoever, whatever. And you mentioned Rollo Tomasi. That's not even his real name. Okay, cool. You can have pseudonyms. Pseudonyms. But stand for...
Take responsibility.
Yeah. Accountability.
Yeah.
What message are you sending out? Can you understand that you're now, in this case, this Rollo guy, right? He's kind of a cult leader or movement leader
people
of this.
follow him.
People follow him.
Yeah,
And you said something, okay, men who are vulnerable, in a vulnerable position, emotional, and men are oftentimes brought up like, oh, don't show emotion. And then there's this
Right.
agenda like, oh, show emotion. But like if I impose on you, Milan, show emotion like I would show like I would show emotion. Like, Milan, you need to cry and be a
Right.
woman. No, please don't be a woman. Be
Yeah.
you. Be vulnerable.
Yes.
But also
in your own nature.
exactly.
Because you've seen me cry. And it's not, again, guys, like, we don't cry. We cry differently. We express emotion differently as men and women. And it's okay for you to cry, by the way. Like, you can just be yourself and do whatever you want. But the point here is that there are literally women who are not going to be attracted to you if you cry like a little bitch. And it's okay to cry like a little bitch. It's okay to weep. It's okay to cry and break down. But if you want, for example, to be with a woman, she might not be aroused by that or attracted by that if that's all you're doing. So there is a personal responsibility towards a man, towards oneself, to learn how to carry the burden of his life, carry his difficulties. And what he cannot do, he can face with a woman.
Exactly. But if he then, in this case, feels unable to carry a difficulty, let's say a man, his woman leaves him and he is devastated. And people generally seek pleasure. They don't want to engage with pain. Life is pain.
Yes.
You cannot surpass that. You cannot bypass that.
No.
We come back to the shame feelings, like the emotions of shame. And we spoke about fake spirituality and stuff in our last joint podcast episode. The bypassing of it. So as a man, like, okay, I don't want to cry and break down, and some do, and then they stumble upon this content, right? And then this leader, in this case, Rollo, he has a huge responsibility in the way he phrases what he says,
Yes.
because nobody knows how any message will land. Like, anybody who listens to this or watches this, they can be in any state. But at the same time, if there is this blueprint, right? Oh, you're sad, you're hurt. Let me help you. And then you're more prone to, because oftentimes and once again, you need to look at the structure of things. When I said cult, and I don't actually mean that red pill is a cult. Please don't, hate me for that. Like, Freudian slip. but there is a certain structure to religion, to cults, to sects, to movements, and why certain people are drawn to them. What is it there? We spoke about what is sales, right? Sales is you're actually never selling anything other than a story or hopes.
A feeling.
So you want to evoke an emotion. And if this man in this case is heartbroken and the woman left him or it didn't work out, so instead of, oh, I'm going to make her regret leaving me, or that it's over, or, oh, she's such a bad word, something, that is bypassing what is actually happening. Do I feel shame? Do I feel regret? Am I angry? Angry is a cover emotion. But like, what are these core emotions? What did this evoke? And instead of going into that power play, oh, I'm going to win, right? Because if one of us wins, that implies one of us loses. Then that's not love, is it?
No, and that is the wrong thing about experiencing this reality and experiencing life is the more your heart opens and the more your consciousness expands, the more you understand that, yes, you are all alone in a sense. But that can get confused. If that gets entangled with narcissism and egocentrism, you are going to be a tyrant who is not going to care about anything that gets in his way. And that is a wrong way to live life. I'm not going to say like what's right or what's wrong, but you're sabotaging yourself essentially. If you're God of your own universe, that means you're ignoring everything else that doesn't fall into or within the, let's say, guidelines of your life and what you deem to be rightful or righteous. So this is right, and you said something, that's wrong, bye.
Yeah.
No, let's see if we can integrate, and we don't have to, of course.
It's a choice.
But do you really genuinely feel safe going around the world and knowing that there is something you could have faced and confronted, and instead you chose to run away and walk away from it?
But that implies having consciousness of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But how many people are actually aware? How many people are actually conscious of exactly what you just said? That they're avoiding. It might be so deeply ingrained, so deeply ingrained in the subconscious that it's not even, it just, no. They don't know. And if you don't know something, you don't know. How can then they know?
Yeah. And by the way, if you're on social media, get off social media unless you're using it for promoting yourself, your business, and something you love.
Or learning something of value, like that actually brings you joy, like in your like.
Yeah.
If you,
it gives you purpose and meaning.
Yes.
Like, get off social media.
But it's dopamine inducing.
Yes.
And that's the same thing. We come back to like these young kids or whatnot, like the girls wearing almost nothing and getting attention from older guys, younger guys, and that's dopamine hits. Or when men speak with beautiful women, or when they go to bed with beautiful women, change them like socks or whatever. Dopamine hits, short dopamine hits. But that in the long run, what that does in society, like the increase of people who are diagnosed, by the way, I don't believe in diagnosis as such, that's also a theme of its own, but like that get diagnosed with autism and ADHD. Like ADHD is like widespread. Like ADHD actually it is severe. If you have ADHD, that's something, but now everybody has it. And why? It's the dopamine. And I'm not saying that I know the answer, but seriously though, everything is dopamine. Can you sit and wait for the bus for 10 minutes without scrolling your phone, getting like these hits? Or
exactly.
Swiping on Tinder. Match, dopamine hit. Or, oh, that guy looked at me, or that woman looked at me, or...
Because if you're on Tinder, if you're in a dating app, get off of it. And why? Because in the same way in which you said sales, you're selling yourself. Which means you have a price someone needs to pay, and you're priceless. You're.
That's such an interesting concept.
So you're basically you're promoting yourself by putting the best pictures of yourself. You're telling a story. Yeah. So you made yourself into a product that someone needs to buy.
I just got goosebumps. And that is such a cool concept. Yes.
And if people don't understand this, they're entering a new level of this capitalist scheme, and they're just entering the maze even deeper and allowing themselves to be controlled even more.
Wow.
So
you just blew my mind.
Thank you. You as a person, you're crucial to this life. You have so much meaning, and God's sake, I hope someone just comes to you and says, "Hey, I love what you're doing. That's a great job." We need so little encouragement as people, especially us men, because women get attention daily, on a daily basis. But they get it for their looks. That's why it's difficult for women to create things of value, because they associate value with looks, because they get attention for their looks. So they invest in their looks. For us men, value is built, which doesn't mean it's not for women. But it is a different process for us. And men, if you're listening and watching this, invest energy in something that matters. Invest energy in something that you consider worthwhile and something that brings you, it doesn't have to bring you joy or purpose or anything. Just do something with that time of yours that is not given to someone else.
Yeah.
So it's given to you, not in a selfish way, but in a selfless way, so that you can give it to someone else, so that you can be of service, so that you can help someone, so that you can help a guy who's struggling in a relationship and not tell him, "Hey, I'm going to tell you what to do." But, "Hey, let's talk about it. What's the problem? I'll hear you out. Oh, that's too bad. Do you want to meet all three and have a talk? No? Okay. Do you want me to tap you by the shoulder and go talk to her?" Support each other. Just support each other and tell young guys to focus on themselves and go to school, and do all that stuff, or don't go to school. I don't believe in public education system anyway, so I'm not going to promote it. But essentially, don't just listen to what either of us have to say. Question it. Yeah. Question it and find if there's truth in it. Find if there's value in it. To answer the fundamental question of today's episode is like, does red pill need some love? It does.
It does.
Everything and everyone needs love. And not love in this love kind of way, but love as in deep, understanding of oneself,
Yeah.
this reality, this life that can only be explored by you.
Yeah.
Only you can understand this experience. Only you can see the beauty in what's happening right now. Us filming this podcast, can't wait to share it with people I know and love who actually believe in me, who actually believe in you, who know that you're doing something for the world that is beneficial to you and me and everyone we know. To just do that. To do something of meaning without, as you said it so beautifully once, I think you said that, to plant the trees in which shadow we will never rest.
Oh, I said that?
I'm not sure.
I might have said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, plant seeds. Like of love, of actually with pure intention. And you said it now. Regards to women oftentimes maybe are then better than men to just hold space and just be there. And regards to the red pill community and the manosphere and like male empowerment, and for that to truly blossom and bloom like a garden or a beautiful forest, now with that reference, that's the thing with the presence, with the conversation. It's not so much about, I'm going to become this Gymshark hustler who's going to fuck a lot of chicks and drive a lot of cars. Like, yeah, you'll die anyway. And on your deathbed, if that's tomorrow or in 70 years, what will matter in your life?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what will matter?
Yeah.
Will it matter that you had 10 cars and fucked half the female population?
Yeah.
Or will it actually matter that you formed amazing connections with people, full of love, joy, experiences together? You shared a cup of tea together, you had a conversation, or just a brief moment, or a marriage, or a lifetime of friendship, or...
And again, letting people explore that on their own.
Yeah.
Because we need to learn on our own experience. If a man wants to do that, he needs to do that to say, this wasn't the answer.
Yeah.
He needs to experience that.
Yeah.
Women need to experience that.
Yeah, except for one thing, though. We have this one life.
Yeah.
It's not about, YOLO. It's not about, maybe reincarnation exists, maybe not. But like, what are we waiting for? We're living now. We live now. It's now.
Yeah. And that is exactly the beautiful thing. If for you living now is working to get a car or a girl or something, is that living? It's not. It's killing yourself for a better future. And I'm not saying that's a bad or a good thing. It's delayed gratification is actually quite healthy. It's okay for you to make sacrifices in the present to build for a better future, but that are in accordance with your highest value and purpose, that are in accordance with who you are, to plant the seeds and nurture them. But if all you're doing in life is means to an end, you're never alive. You're never truly here.
No, but that would be, you said it yourself, as a product, right?
Yes, it's
so
means to an end.
you use I don't know, you buy milk to make coffee, but like that's the capitalist way of seeing things. The actual change, like what ideally should be modeled from early childhood in families and communities, is that healthy relating. And if that is not the case, which is very often not the case, then men, once again, women also, like red pill or no red pill or whatever, but like we need to model that then together.
Of course.
And how do we do that? That's not by saying, if you're sad or angry or
do this
or don't do that, because that would be a blueprint. You buy into that and then you become that in a sense.
It would be a blueprint, and it would also imply effort every time.
Yeah.
But you need to just do all your life. Do work. And of course, don't get me wrong, you need to do certain work. But if your mind will never rest.
No.
You'll never be rested to take on the next challenge if all you do is work.
And also, you said mind. The mind would always be busy. How would you then connect with another person? And that is very hard to do over a screen.
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
this generation, 40% decrease in empathy over 10 years?
Yeah.
And empathy, compassion, presence, and, also being able to regulate one's own emotions. Like if you're in distress and I can't handle my own distress or watching you, then I will be like, oh, you're this or that. Or if I can just like, I'm here. Our systems are very intelligent. They heal or come into balance by themselves with another person. Like, hey, you're okay.
And the problem that people see in that is because they are used to everything being means to an end, that they literally cannot sit in that.
Yeah.
They cannot sit and you saying, like, for example, if I were that conditioned and brainwashed and you tell me, I'm here. Yeah, but why are you here? And for what reason? And what do you want? And where is this going? And what are we doing? Do you get it?
But so that's fear also.
Of course it is. It's constant processing, building on potentialities and future, which means you're never here now.
Stories.
Even more stories. Story is, for most people, more powerful than reality and is escape from reality. You know, reality is here, but I can also say, oh, I'm a podcaster. I'm doing this podcast and this is going to result in me earning millions of dollars. No, it's just we're here, we're doing this and we're enjoying it. I am. I'm
enjoying this too. And it's that's the thing. We're here now, we're having a conversation, we're connecting, and hopefully even, we said through a screen or through headphones or whatnot, but hopefully, my hopes for this episode is that even if it only reaches one person, that something resonates within them, that like, wait, actually, where does this sit with me? How do I actually feel about this?
Exactly.
Maybe I shouldn't just disregard, in this case, if a man is listening, maybe I just shouldn't disregard my girlfriend, or even for women as well. Like, if something resonates, just like take it in, ponder on it, taste it, sit with that. Like, this is uncomfortable. Why is this uncomfortable?
Or just learn how to be uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, that
learn
too.
how to be uncomfortable.
That too. Do what you love and enjoy. Like, we are enjoying this now. We're living now. I enjoy this.
Same here. So to wrap this up, what would you say men are doing wrong today in terms of relationships and relating to women?
What men are doing wrong in relationship to women?
In relation to women. Let's say you as a woman, when men approach you, when men speak to you, what do they do wrong?
Oh, wow. So I'm not falling into the trap to say like, oh, you do this and that wrong, because who am I to say that? I can only speak for who I am and what I perceive.
Yes.
And not even wrong, because if a man approaches me in a certain way, he might not think it's wrong, right?
Good point.
I have a suggestion. What men do wrong in relation to women when they approach them and so forth, dating or in general, that could be a podcast of its own, don't you think?
No, of course. That's an episode that we're definitely going to go into, because if we open that Pandora's box...
Because I was like, how much time do we have?
1 hour is really decent. I hope you guys can manage for 1 hour. That would be great. But that's a good idea. But if you could give a quick answer, what would it be?
They have an outcome in mind.
How do you know?
It's felt.
Okay.
Intuitively, you just know.
Okay.
You just know. It's in the eyes. It's in the approach. It's like, okay.
So you would know that they want something from you.
Yes.
But as a woman, you know what that is.
Yeah, well, my knee-jerk, like, internal, like, I wanted to say, well, no. But in a sense, yeah, maybe not only that, access to my body in some way. But I really, oh man, maybe I'm naive, but like, I really, really, truly want to believe. See, I said I want to believe. I'm not even sure that I do believe it completely. Wow. Yeah, you heard me. I heard myself. That the men who approach me, that they have genuine intentions to see me as a full human being and want to get to know me for me, because I know me and I'm willing to invest time and give my energy and give of myself to that other person as well, to explore together and see like, hey, what if it's just a conversation? A conversation can be so much, but from the smallest thing to a whole lifetime. And if, once again, this is my humble and very personal view of this. If I perceive that, okay, there is an outcome here, like an intention for a outcome, certain outcome, it's just a hard no. Like, thank you, but no thank you. Okay. And also men oftentimes get very perplexed when I, as a woman, am not like, trying to manipulate. I'm like, thank you, but no thank you. Period. And it's like a micro like you see it, like, respect, yes, thank you, but no thank you.
So in that sense, what they're doing wrong, and do correct me if I'm getting this wrong, is that they miscommunicate their intentions, or that they're unclear about their intentions, or that they conceal their intentions and are not aware of it.
Oftentimes the latter thing, that they try to conceal. It goes for women as well.
Oh yeah.
It's so, when you see it, you cannot unsee it. That is the thing. And the
when
thing
you know,
is,
you know.
When you know, you know. And when you just see it, you just see it. And people try to conceal and, manipulate. No, that's not the case, but it's felt. And if it's not evident in the first encounter, surely if you're aware enough, and women, any woman listening to this, breathe, pause, feel into your intuition, like feel into your stomach, your heart. It's felt, and it's always shown. And question yourself then, why would I, in this case, then give myself away, like give my body or my attention, like not even body, like or my attention or my time to this man, if I already perceive like, no, doesn't sit right with me. And also, the caveat here is, not many women nor men are aware of what is the trauma response, because, be with someone who feels like home. Well, if your home was chaos, then you will be drawn to chaos, right?
Absolutely.
So this is not as easy. So I'm not saying like, it's so easy. Oh, no, it took me a lot of years
exactly.
to be like, wait.
There is no easy fix. Again, like when I showed you these like TikTok coaches and everything, like everyone's a psychologist now.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone is a psychologist. Everyone is a coach. Everyone hands out advice. And I almost fell into this trap too, by the way. But that is exactly the issue. You cannot just watch a TikTok or watch a YouTube video or whoever and say, I got it now. This is it. I figured it out. No, but be mindful.
Be mindful, and there is no checklist.
Yeah, guys, take notes.
There's no checklist.
And communicate with women. Women communicate with men. Just be honest, be authentic.
But yeah, and a really important thing here, just to add on to that, and please, let's do an episode on this. But like, there is no checklist, right? There is no, he needs to tick off these boxes. And if somebody approaches, like, he's not 6 feet.
This box is not ticked. Okay.
Yeah, that episode is going to be, it's going to blow your mind. But yeah, there is no boxes. Be open, be receptive to people you meet, but also have discernment.
Oh yeah, and don't jump to conclusions.
Exactly.
Right away. Just, follow your internal compass, but also question it, grow with people. Be honest. Be honest.
Be honest.
Be honest. Be vulnerable. Say, you know what? I don't like you.
Thank you, but no
believe me, like
you.
I learned most from people who say I like you. One of my best friends and I started by hating each other. Like, hey man, I hate you. I hate you too, man. I wanna kick your guts. And then he's like, oh, I like you and I like you too. And then because you get that out of the way.
You were authentic and honest,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
And eventually everybody showed their true colors.
Nobody
can
no
keep
one gets
up.
Away.
Nobody, 3 to 6 months maximum that a mask can be kept. But if you're aware, you're gonna see it from the first encounter. So just like well, okay, I'm gonna stop monologuing now.
No, please.
But like, everybody shows who they are eventually. And be receptive, be open, have discernment, and that's it, basically.
Be honest. Tell the truth.
Be honest towards yourself first.
Yes.
Not like if you're honest towards another person, be honest towards yourself first.
As I said, tell the truth.
Truth.
Tell the truth.
Truth. Always. And always.
Thank you, Jasmina.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back soon. And have a good one. Like and subscribe, of course, if you're watching on YouTube.
Definitely.
And see you soon. Bye.
Bye.